we're going to switch gears again. Joining me is Mark Simone, our great friend, WOR Hall of Fame radio host. Joe Concha will be here in a minute. So I see him over the horizon. He's coming through the door, so it won't be long now, and we'll hook him up on the fly. Mark Simone, the other big story, Arizona Supreme Court upholds near total abortion. The court ruled 4-2 today to uphold. This is going back to 1868, if I'm not mistaken. It's incredible. Issued a ruling Tuesday reverting the state back to a 160-year-old pre-statehood law. I don't know why it applies. That outlaws abortions in nearly all circumstances and criminalizes abortions. The law would make it a felony for anyone who provides, supplies, or administers to a pregnant woman or procures such woman to take any medicine, drugs, or substance, et cetera, unless it's absolutely necessary to save her life. But there are no other exclusions here. The law was codified in 1913 after Arizona became a state. Now, we're on the fly on this story as well. We may get a report later or we may not. But the Attorney General of Arizona has said he will not back up this law. But I don't know how you don't back up the law. So let's talk about this, because this is a big site. This is a big story. It's at the top of all the websites around the country. What say you?
This will dominate the news for days because they think it'll hurt Donald Trump.
Yeah.
This issue does not hurt Donald Trump. He's not against abortion. He's actually okay with abortion. He wants that 15-week limit. Perfectly reasonable.
Wait. He didn't say 15 weeks. That's not quoting him. Yesterday, he had a different take. He didn't say 15 weeks. He said, let the states decide.
Well,
a point I happen to agree with, by the way, wholeheartedly. But I can't pin 15 weeks on him because it's not what he said.
Okay, but that makes him the pro-choice candidate. Leave it up to the states. Let them choose. Let them do what they want. Here's the key fact to everything. Since the Dobbs decision, abortions are up 10% in America. They had been on the decline for years. Last year, they were up 10%. So obviously...
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we don't want to see any abortions.
Speaking personally.
But if somebody needs one, if they live in Arizona, it just means they'll have to go to the neighboring state. 154,000 people did that last year. It's not an unreasonable position that Trump had.
Joe Concha, I'm sure you got wind of it on your phone in the car, wherever you're coming from.
The elevator, basically, yeah.
The elevator. We've been switching our topics around, but you two are terrific and you're up to the task. What's your initial reaction? The Arizona Supreme Court story is, it's number one on all the major media websites right now. What do you think about it?
Well, as it should be, right? Because abortion, even though whenever we see Gallup polling, for example, what's the most important issue to voters? It usually goes economy or immigration, 1 or 2, crime number 3, election integrity 4, trust in government 5, and abortion somewhere around 8 or 9. However, among Democrats, this will be the number one issue that they will be running on outside of Trump is a demagogue and he's bad and vote for us because we're good people. All of that said, to your point, in the cases where it comes down to the states deciding, that's what the Supreme Court ruled. And Mark makes a very good saying here, a term, pro-choice. The choice goes back to voters in those situations. So we saw in Kansas, for example, which at last check is quite the deep red state. They held basically what was a referendum on whether abortion should be legal in their state or not, and pretty overwhelmingly, it was voted against in terms of, yes, we want to keep that option. Ohio, a red state, same deal. So Trump's position seems to be one that says, I agree with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court believes people should decide, not a bunch of people in robes, or it shouldn't be done on the federal level. As far as Arizona is concerned, yes, this will be dominating the news cycle, at least through the end of the week.
The question, though, this 160-year-old law is now enforceable, the opinion read, and will go into effect in 14 days. Now, I'm assuming everybody in both political parties will say, don't do it, we oppose it. This is some relic of the past and an unfortunate relic of the past. I mean, Mr. Trump's position, remember, not only was to make it a state issue, as the Supreme Court did, helped by his own judicial appointees on the court, but also to say to Republicans, you must have the Reagan-esque exclusions, rape, incest, and the life of the mother, or the health of the mother. This thing doesn't have those exclusions, but Democratic Arizona Attorney General, somebody named Chris Mays, all right, I'm just flying through this as you are, They're saying this Arizona court is unconscionable and an affront to freedom. So I'm assuming, I don't know, I'm assuming most Republicans will oppose this, but not all. All Democrats will oppose this decision. I mean, this is tricky business. How does this play out?
It hurts Trump for a few days, and then people start to realize this is not the worst thing in the world.
He may come out. He'll come out against us. Oh, no, maybe he won't. But remember, his point was the legislature, Mark. He didn't mention the court. So this is tricky. State Supreme Court, does that qualify as a state decision?
Yeah, that's what it is to be pro-choice. Yeah. The states can decide. If you had to travel to another state to get an abortion, it's not the worst thing in the world. Hopefully, this is a very rare occurrence in your life. Once in your life, maybe you would do it. Buying a bus ticket to go somewhere to get it is not the worst thing in the world.
To your point, by the way, Kari Lake, for example, disavows Arizona abortion.
Yeah, we invited her on. We just couldn't get her to come. It's all breaking. But yes, I'm assuming most Republicans will come out against this.
As they did with the federal ban, right? When Lindsey Graham, I believe, was the one who floated around, no, we should have a federal law that bans all abortions. And politically, that's suicide at this point.
And you'll never get, you'll never get 60 votes for a new federal law in this U.S. Senate.
You wouldn't get 50 votes in this U.S. Senate.
It's not going to happen.
No, it is not. And Trump had said in the past, to Mark's point earlier, that he did favor a 15-week. In other words, beyond the first trimester, when you start talking about abortions, the polling changes drastically, right? So people are comfortable with 15 weeks, which is basically one trimester. But then after that, they say, wait a minute. All right, that's where we're uncomfortable with this. So I think he landed in the right spot.
But I do, too, by the way. I'm just saying, not to take off after you, my friend, but that Trump's position has always been negotiating. But now he said, let's just push it back to the states. Because in truth, it doesn't matter. Nothing's going to happen in the U.S. Even if the GOP picks up 3 or 4 seats, you're not going to have 60 votes.
Yeah.
Not gonna have. And the Democratic position, is, I mean, they want Biden says it's we want to go back to Roe v. Wade. No, he doesn't. He wants to go beyond Roe v. Wade. He wants to go into late-term abortions. He wants to go into places where you can actually abort. You can kill the kid after the kid is born. I mean, that's in the Democratic legislation.
Well, they're just not pro-choice. They'll make the decision. They'll mandate it. It's, they'll tell you what light bulb you're allowed to use, what car you're allowed to drive. They just don't believe in choice when it comes to anything. Even with this, leaving it up to the states is a pretty sensible thing to do.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think ultimately Trump doesn't want to talk about it after a couple of days. I think in the end, he wants to talk about inflation. He wants to talk about food prices and gas prices and the border and crime and foreign policy. This is something that he'd rather say, yep, it's up to the states. I'm out of this.
You know what I don't know? Is this a Democratic or Republican state Supreme Court? It might be very interesting if it were Democratic appointees, because I don't know the answer to that.
Right. Because, they have 2 Democratic senators and a Democratic governor. So
well, one, be ironic if anything.
Yeah.
You're calling me off, so we got to get out of here. Okay, fellas, you did a great job. A little bit disjointed. I apologize.
Live TV, baby.
Mark Simone and Joe Concha.